Thor and Iron Man, two of the most iconic Avengers within Marvel Comics, but they don't always have the best relationship, for better or for worse. As seen in this story here. The issue picks up with Adam, a simple mechanic in the small town of Oklahoma, working on a vehicle. Well, he was, until he hears something, and upon looking up, he sees a massive explosion, and it turns out it was Mjolnir, the hammer of Thor itself. Now in more recent lore, Mjolnir actually has a mind and will of its own, basically, because of the god tempest that lives inside of it. The side effect of this, though, is that it sometimes acts wild, as Thor himself has had trouble lifting it, and it becoming heavier and heavier with every use, while others can lift it with ease by passing the enchantment. But back to Adam. After the crash, he goes up to see what's all the commotion, and goes up to the hammer and seemingly reads something on the side of it, and then inputs it into his phone, calling it. A couple hours later, we then see the once rural town now beaming with people and news reports, gathering around the crash site of the hammer. We then see Iron Man himself arrive and descend down. He arrives saying no pictures, and which one of you is Adam? And as he identifies himself, Tony cuts all the small talk out, saying, yeah, I'm just more concerned about how you actually managed to call me. And as he points out, Tony Stark's number is right smack dab in the middle of Thor's hammer, causing Tony to scream out in anger at Thor, who through his ravens can actually see him. He smiles. Now with Tony realizing the situation, he tries to clear everybody out, but as news reporters do, they all try to get questions out of him to get the scoop. But as he's talking to the press, Adam says it's charging again, which averts Tony's attention back to him, and as he flies over, he sees that the words now say pick it up. Now Tony, not knowing what the situation is, he decides to put up a shield around a perimeter, and as he flies above, he tells Adam not to touch it. But Adam, being the person he is, immediately goes for the handle, lifting it up, transforming him into a Thor-like being himself. And now with everybody on the fritz, Iron Man tells everybody to get back, but as the news reporters don't want to miss this giant scoop of someone random lifting and transforming from Thor's hammer, Iron Man then employs a mini EMP, taking out all of their devices and cameras, and then goes off with Adam to try and talk to him about what happened. But Iron Man says he's going to need the hammer, as he doesn't trust this random man with such a powerful weapon. But as they're talking, a streak of light booms down and blasts Tony back. And from there, Thor, the god of thunder, arrives, telling Adam his apologies for the turmoil he has brought upon him in this brief situation. And as he goes to ask for his hammer back, Iron Man swooshes by, grabbing it before Thor has a chance, saying he's not getting it back until they have a little chat. And with Tony and Thor being on still relatively good terms at the time, Thor just tries to talk to him, saying, Tony, this has nothing to do with you. Give me my hammer and I will just leave. With Stark saying no, it got personal when you released his private number out to the public, literally calling him here. Now at this point in time, Thor is currently king of Asgard, among a bunch of other cosmic stuff. So Tony, not really seeing Thor as much anymore, saying no, there's so much Thor has left unanswered, and that before Tony will give him back the hammer, to just answer some things and set things straight. Also bringing up the point that just dropping his hammer down was reckless, saying what if someone got hurt, or what if someone like Dr. Doom got his hands on Mjolnir. And within the heat of the moment, Tony says no, until he gets some answers and runs some tests on the whole thing, the hammer stays with him, and Thor simply saying he doesn't answer to him, initiating the fight. Within Tony says fine, and steps up and takes the first and only punch in this battle, knocking Thor across the face with a rocket-powered hammer strike. And with that, Thor simply says nothing, with a little bit of disappointment and a lot of godly power in his eyes. Simply looks down, and just then, the winds start picking up. Storm clouds form above them, booming thunder in the distance, while telling Tony to listen very carefully and almost threatening him. Do not mistake wielding my hammer for wielding my power. Mjolnir or not, I'm still a god. And you are a tin man in a lightning storm, while raging lightning goes on behind them, literally carving the shape of Mjolnir into the grassy plains that they're standing on. Not only putting his foot down in the situation, but just showing how powerful he is relative to his peers. And Tony giving back the hammer, simply saying, well, as far as arguments go, that's pretty compelling. And with things now calming down and them seeing eye to eye now, Tony says, I can't imagine what's been going on with you. To try to take it easy, take a vacation or rest. With Thor simply saying there is no rest for kings, Tony. But also asking Iron Man for a favor. Not just a favor, but an oath. Because if word spreads around that any man or beast may simply just pick up and wield Mjolnir, no matter their worthiness, he fears that an all-out war could break out. And you cannot allow that as king of Asgard and protector of the 9 realms. And Tony, obviously agreeing with him, saying how yeah, that would be bad for everybody involved. But turning his attention back to Adam, who still now has the whole armor and powers of Thor at the moment, he tells Thor that there's this one thing he really wants to try. and they both go flying together, with Thor teaching him how to properly wield and use Mjolnir to fly and land. And as they're on the ground, Adam tells Thor that he really needed this, saying it may sound stupid, but he used to pray that he could be like the birds in the sky, flying, and thanks Thor for giving him the opportunity. And afterwards, Thor teaches him how to relinquish the power by simply smashing Mjolnir on the ground. And as he does, he's turned right back to normal old human Adam and says his goodbyes to Thor, ending the story.